A couple of points I'd like to raise very quickly, but before I do talk about the entities themselves, unfortunately, Honorable Nico Nawaikula did not disclose to Parliament that he actually has a case against FBC, and recently he was told by the court to pay cost of $3,000, which he's yet to pay. Perhaps that's why he went on a diatribe against FBC. Public statements have been made. He did not declare that. He said he feels that the auditors said that it should not be treated as revenue. You don't feel those things, you know those things. Mr. Speaker, sir, I've got the statement here of FBC prior to 2007. And they were also given grants. And they also treated it as revenue. And they also continuously made losses. Honorable Tuisawao, you were obsessed with FBC. You go and look at the records. I've got the accounts here. Losses of $1 million, etc. At one point in time, CFL was given the Public Service Broadcast License. They could only retain it for 1 year. It went back to FBC. You see, when you come to Parliament, you need to know the historical facts and the legacy issues before you sort of, go on this diatribe. Mr. Speaker, sir, I think Honorable Usamate very, aptly summarized issues with WEF, but I'd like to point out to Honorable Aseri Rondondro, some of those matters, unfortunately, is not here that he raised, in fact, took place with the former CEO who became the Sodelpa candidate. There were issues there, of course. We need to continuously improve, and I'll get back as to why we do audits. Audits are carried out so we can improve the system. Audits are carried out so we can identify where are the gaps, where are the loopholes, and let's fix it up. Mr. Speaker, sir, I have here notes that were not prepared by me, but given to me by the Permanent Secretary for Economy and his team leading Treasury, and they've highlighted to me the reasons why they have huge issues with the Auditor General. And I'd like to read that out, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, there's been major delays in the finalization of audit reports for various government agencies and statutory bodies. The Office of Auditor General has been blaming agencies for delays, the delays due to incomplete information. But most agencies you talk to have submitted reports on time, and yet there's been major delays from the Office of Auditor General. There seems to be no intention to expedite things. To clear the backlog, why can't the OAG get these outsourced where agencies can pay the external auditor, but the audit opinion is issued by OAG? These are reputable independent firms, so the argument by OAG on lack of independence is nonsense. In fact, the OAG seems to be politically aligned drinking grog with a number of opposition members. Why couldn't they do audit for 2 or 3 years together to clear the backlog? Once the backlog is clear, there could be timely audits and timely debate in Parliament. We've been surprised that while there have been so many reports pending, the OAG is spending a lot of its effort in doing audits in areas like access to persons with disability, progress of sustainable development goals of which they have no expertise a year after the SDGs were put out, food ration distribution whilst it's being done, MSME concessional loans whilst it's being given out, the unemployment assistance we gave. Carrying out performance audit on low priority areas, Mr. Speaker, sir, means that the OAG's resources could have been better utilized in resourcing clearing audit backlogs. Delays in reports have affected our relationship with development partners. This is unacceptable. They have in the past been commenting fiscal policy issues, commenting on debt, size of deficit, expenditure composition, source of borrowing, etc. The OAG does not have the expertise on fiscal policy matters, nor is it allowed by the law to do so. Quite specifically, it says here, Mr. Speaker, sir, nothing in this section entitles the Auditor General to question the merit of policy objectives of the government. In this section, policy objective includes a government policy direction of a minister, a policy statement in a budget paper, a statement of objectives in a corporate plan approved by a minister, any other document evidencing a policy decision of the government or a minister. Mr. Speaker, sir, they go on to say, Mr. Speaker, sir, that OAG gets into talking about the policy, whether it is right or wrong. That's not their scope. The Parliament approves the budget and government policies, not OAG. No proper audit processes are followed. No proper entry and exit meetings. Even I know this work in the private sector. Whenever you get an audit done, the Auditor General or the person carrying out the audit will come and have what we call an entry interview. with the people they're going to audit. Then you have an exit interview. That's always done, Mr. Speaker, sir. This Auditor General has refused, the one whose term is just finished, refused to come to this meeting, hardly present at any of the meetings. Management letters are changed and issued after exit meetings. No clear and proper criteria. They come with audits in the middle of programs like MSME loan scheme, COVID assistance. OAG is also auditing in certain areas without any real expertise. Where in the world is an Office Auditor General auditing progress on SDGs? Nowhere in the world is the Auditor General auditing the progress on SDGs. They have no expertise. Mr. Speaker, sir, almost every agency, yeah, exactly, look at the quality of it. Almost every agency will tell that the Auditor General, as the administrator, head of OAG, hardly attended meetings. OAG is not interested to collaborate and resolve issues. They like to sensationalize issues, most of the time for the wrong reasons. Have they ever clarified all the misrepresentation in the media? As an independent body, that's their responsibility to do so. They have always allowed things to be politicized. His whipping boy, Anish Chand, now Vijay Narayan, all of these people are whipping people into a frenzy. Auditor General's office never comes and clarifies that. OAG has been more concerned with the quantity of audit issues, raised in the management letter than with the quality. This is from the technical people. Mr. Speaker, sir, I would like to highlight some of the issues that were raised by some of the members on the other side, Mr. Speaker, sir. Honorable Prasad talked about the ADB report and poverty. He did not mention what was the poverty report prior to that. What is the poverty report? What was the poverty rate in 2004, 2006? He did not talk about the social wages that is actually now being paid. Things like free education, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, the fact of the matter is, none of the members on the other side, in fact, spoke about the actual financial performance of many of these entities. AFL has been giving dividends about $40 million. Nobody talked about that. Nobody talked about the fact that Tropic Wood has now been giving on a year in, year out bonuses to the landowners. Never been done before. Nobody talked about the clearing of the debts. Fiji Hardwood Corporation Limited, Mr. Speaker, sir, never made a profit. Honorable Bulanauda knows this. Never made a profit until 2007, 2008. They had a debt stock of $24 million. The debt is almost finished. Tropic Wood has paid off all of its debts, the previous debts, outstanding since the 70s, 80s, and 90s, Mr. Speaker, sir. FBCL has paid its debt 3 years beforehand, last year. A complete debt repayment, Mr. Speaker, sir. They talked about Wailesi. The Wailesi chair spoke to us. They've given their accounts, but the Office Auditor General said 2018, 2019, 2020. Office Auditor General said, I don't have the time to do it at the moment. So Honorable Ganagare Tambua goes in the media and says, oh, they have not given the audit report. They presented their accounts to them. OAG is the one who has not presented it. Mr. Speaker, sir, I can go on. Mr. Speaker, sir, the other point, nobody talked about Fiji Ports Corporation Limited. How the port turnaround times have improved by 30%. Before the reforms of FPCL, shipping companies used to charge a levy on bringing containers to Fiji because the port was so inefficient. They had to hang out in the port to burn their fuel, so used to charge a levy. Mr. Speaker, sir, these are the reforms that have taken place. These are the improvements in the stowed-down entities, but none of them mention that because it does not suit their narrative, you see. Honorable Tuisawao, when I said to him at the lunch break, I said, let's hurry along, let's talk, get on to the other subject matters. He goes, well, it's election time, they can talk about it. See, this is the whole posturing that's taking place. The whole posture is to try and create some kind of disquiet amongst the public, yet they have not been armed with facts. Nobody has denied that, of course, in some organizations there have been untoward behavior. There have been things that need to be improved. We've never said that. In fact, this government has always been, whenever they've identified any problem, somebody's done something wrong, no hesitation in removing people where it has the powers to do so. No hesitation in doing that. We did the reforms in the law, in the legal fraternity. Lawyers who were there for donkey's years have been barred for life because of nicking other people's money, poor people's money. We have no hesitation whatsoever, Mr. Speaker, sir. So again, Mr. Speaker, sir, all of these issues are being raised without context. Mr. Speaker, sir, the other point I did not also mention, that I'd like to mention, sorry, they went on as if, now Honorable Bhiman Prasad went on about this cabal and, all of these people, these sycophants, etc. We know who's the real sycophant. He did not mention the fact that Rambuka walked into the head office of NBF. No, this is a fact. NBF got Makrava from the Soundbula branch, gunpoint, and removed him and made him National Bank of Fiji manager. He did not mention that. He did not mention that. Don't hold it up. That's the fact. You see, unfortunately, your political fortunes, Honorable Gavoka, make a note of this. That man is tied to the man you want to have a debate with. His political fortunes are tied with him. Mr. Speaker, sir.
Order.
Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir. We let the men sort themselves out, then come and debate with us. Mr. Speaker, sir, the point is this. We'll see who's the man. Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir. A branch manager was made the National Bank of Fiji manager. We had ministers in that report, you'll know, we had ministers writing handwritten notes to people saying, give them a loan. And we know who are the people who got the loans. People of that cabal, Mr. Speaker, sir. You see, he's obsessed with the chairman. But what happened with the operations? What happened with the operation of the National Bank of Fiji? We lost our national bank. We have now gained a bank that's 100% Fijian-owned, HFC. Mr. Speaker, sir, that is the reality. The report does talk about how drum kit sets were given as security for $200,000-300,000. Honorable Alam Babu, I don't know whether you're a beneficiary or somebody else a beneficiary. There are many beneficiaries such as that. There are many people who benefited from it, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir. It's a very good shot, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, the fact of the matter is this. We had board members who were appointed then because they were actual sycophants. Handful of people, very few female representation on boards, Mr. Speaker, sir. Very few female representation. Honorable Rondro, make a note of this. One of them, of course, had his company. One of them had one of his companies sell a wall clock to Fiji Post, and he was the chairman. Beneficiary in Fiji Times. Run away to Australia on the second charge, never to come back, because he has written notes. I have seen it with my eyes, Mr. Speaker, sir, to our Honourable Prime Minister saying, get those charges withdrawn.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, sir.
Point of order. Order. I think the acting Prime Minister is doing the same thing that he was accusing me. He's actually attacking somebody who is not in Parliament. I was saying the same thing. I actually had the reports. He may well be right in pointing that out. I'm not saying that the information that he's giving, but I was exactly doing the same thing, Mr. Speaker, because it's in the interest of transparency and good governance. That the chairman of the Commission of Inquiry was responsible for the collapse of the NBF, and he ignored the advice of the Auditor General. That's exactly what I was saying.
You have the floor.
Sir, thank you very much. I was demonstrating the fact that these things actually took place then. They're trying to make it out as if it's not. It's a fact. The person was charged, convicted, sent to prison. It's a fact. And he is now absconded from the law. And it's a fact that we've seen the letter. Mr. Speaker, sir, the other point that I'd also like to make, and the only reason, sir, that I raised with Honourable Prasad about the Commission of Inquiry, because the law quite clearly says, sir, under Section 16 of the Commission of Inquiry Act, it says any person who uses threatening or insulting language to the Commission or to a Commissioner or to the Secretary at any sitting of the Commission or to a Commissioner or to the Secretary at any time or place in relation to or on account of his or her proceedings in the capacity of the Commissioner or of Secretary is guilty of an offence, and upon conviction shall be liable to a fine not exceeding $200, this needs to be updated, or to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 6 months. I'm actually helping you out, Honourable Prasad. I'm actually stopping you, Mr. Speaker, sir. No, I'm saying just in case you get all excited and say it outside Parliament. Mr. Speaker, sir, the fact of the matter is this. they're again saying that we have this cabal of people, etc., and that we are, always trying to victimize people they speak against. Not true. The Ministry of Women has farmed out work to the Women's Crisis Center. The head of Women's Crisis Center has been making all sorts of allegations against the Honorable Prime Minister, myself, against government, all type of gratuitous comments. Yet, we did not stop the work that they're getting. They're getting about $200,000 worth of work. In budget, it's approved. If we were vindictive, we would have stopped it. But we are not, because they perform a good role in terms of managing the phone line. That's their mandate, Mr. Speaker, sir. So it is nonsensical to say that. We know Honorable Prasad's affiliations with various engineers. They're probably funding his political party, but they still get contracts with government. They go through a proper tender process, they get approved. But we don't actually stop them from getting it because we are very much transparent about it. We are not politically motivated. They always bring this issue about political motivation. If that was the case, we would have stopped that. You know who I'm talking about. Mr. Speaker, sir. So the fact of the matter, Mr. Speaker, sir, again, there were numerous instances that I can talk about. Strategic Air Services Limited, set up before, they split up Airports Fiji Limited. That time it was Fiji Airports. Split it up, SASL. Guess what happened? We lost vast tracts of the airspace that we used to manage before. Lost it to New Zealand and Australia because SASL was set up. What happened after that? It's gone, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, ATH shares were sold at It was sold at over exorbitant price just to make the government look good. It was a one-off surplus, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, again I would like to point out, last comment I'd like to make. The salaries and work conditions of civil servants and other entities that government is related to, the salaries have increased significantly. Somebody made a statement about nurses, land surveyors, doctors have all had huge pay rises compared to what they used to get, Mr. Speaker, sir. Huge pay rises. The meal allowances, they used to get $9. We increased it to $20. We increased it to $20. Mr. Speaker, sir. Order. Mr. Speaker, sir, it's come down to $10. It's come down to $10, Mr. Speaker, sir, because of COVID. And they appreciate that. Because we did not give any pay cuts. We did not do any pay cuts, Mr. Speaker, sir. So the point of the matter is, Mr. Speaker, sir, the honourable members, Honourable Niko Kula, did not declare his interest. This is the level of debate we see, Mr. Speaker, sir. The contributions. If we want to make some substantive contributions, let's be honest about it, intellectually be honest about it. And let's know what happened in the past. There are many issues, for example. Yes, we agree. We are on record for saying that the move from Public Works Department, the Water and Sewage Department in the Public Works Department could have been done better. FRA from Department of National Roads metamorphosizing into FRA was done a lot better than WEF. There are legacy issues and they are being addressed as the Minister had highlighted. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, we accept audit reports if it's done objectively. We accept criticism if people don't file audit their accounts on time. We accept that. But let's come to this Parliament with clean hands. If you know that the accounts have been submitted, but OAG is delaying it, don't say that it's the fault of the entities. And we need to take audit reports on the value that it gives us. And that is, how do we identify it? How do we identify the gaps? How do we fix it so next year it does not happen? That should be really the role of the Auditor General. The role of the Auditor General is to go to this ministry and say, look guys, we identified because of these issues. Let's work together with you to see it does not happen again, because it is taxpayers' funds, not for it to be used for political purposes. Mr. Speaker, sir, I'd like to thank the committee for the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Acting Prime Minister.